city, it gets gritty, but it's pretty though. All the bright lights and pretty hoes. We know shit only the city knows. Cause these Toronto streets get really cold.
Episode number 5. What's going on, Toronto? We're out here with a special guest today. Another one of our guests. Zine, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Could you provide us with a little bit of an introduction about yourself, what you do?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a 4th year international student from Malaysia. I'm now, obviously we're done with classes, so cheers to that. Coming back here to do a master's in September though, so cheers to another year. Well, my program, I'm specializing in Spanish with a focus in linguistics, and then my minor is Latin American Studies. For work, I am a graphic designer, but as you know, I also work in nightlife and stuff, so I balance that with school, on the weekends. Work in a club, and I also work as a dancer. So that's just what I've been up to. And yeah, I guess after graduation, I have some lingering plans and stuff.
So you have quite a lot of plans going on. That's
I
nice.
do, yeah.
I love to hear it. What nightclub do you work in, Toronto?
So I work at Rebel as a dancer, and then I work at the Access Club as a bottle server.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think? It's obviously Rebel is the most important one, the biggest one in Toronto.
If we're allowed to be honest here, I fucking hate that club. I
Why is
hate
that?
it so much. Just firstly the location itself, where it is, it's so inaccessible because it's literally in the middle of an entire industrial power plant. When you go there, the roads aren't even built. Not that Toronto's roads are particularly known for being quality roads or whatever, but specifically in Polson Pier, it's just so bad. So just getting there is such a chore. People there are horrible, to be honest. I feel people who go there treat it if they're not going there for a specific night, to see a specific artist, if they're just going there for a normal club night, it's so whack because they act like animals in a zoo. They don't know what to do, they don't know how to act.
You know, it's interesting you say that about
Crazy.
both things actually. The
Yeah.
location first. Yesterday they were supposed to hold a concert. I think it was Thursday for Rondo in Capo Plaza.
Yeah, I know.
They ran out of
Because
Yeah.
it was that night. Yeah, but then now it's postponed to Sunday because specifically only Polson Pier lost electricity and
Yeah,
What
and
the hell?
you know what's funny? I received texts from 4 different people telling me the same thing. It's crazy how Toronto is all illuminated and all the buildings and everything. And then in a city like Toronto that needs so much electricity and power to run, Rebel obviously is not working. I just kind of found it funny, you know. Have you
It's
ever been
just
to Rebel?
so ironic.
No, I really wanted to go actually. I heard it's the biggest club in Toronto, and there's 4 or 5 floors. So I don't know. Is it overrated? I guess.
Yeah, very overrated.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you're missing out.
Okay.
Unless you go there to see a specific artist, I just don't think
Okay.
it's worth really going.
I gotta give it to it though. It's the only nightclub that's got different rooms. And
Yeah, that's
different-
true. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's,
There's a vibe for everyone there. Because the main room is whatever, it's mixed, right? And then you have Savage, which is reggaeton, it's Latin night. And then you have Noir, which is techno and house. And then you have Purple. Purple, I don't know. Purple, something different happens there at each time. So it really depends who's DJing. So there is something for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
There is something for everyone.
And
for sure.
although it's got its own flaws and everything, I still feel it's pretty solid. Most people go there on a Friday or Saturday night, and it never disappoints. I gotta give it to it. And also,
Good. I'm glad you had a good experience.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I never heard people complaining about Rebel because it's such. I mean, it's expensive, but it's Rebel. And also, shout out to my
True.
dad for contributing to the building process of the patio outside. He actually
No
witnessed the whole thing.
way!
So yeah, I mean, it's kind of I got a lot of connections to it, I guess.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. It's a nice place. Just the people who go there
Yeah.
are they make it horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it being located all the way down at Polson Pier is super weird.
And speaking of people being horrible and stuff, I've had a chance of looking at your stories in the past.
Oh
And-
God.
there were a couple of instances in which you've complained, obviously rightfully complained about
Yeah.
being
No, fair enough.
essentially like assaulted verbally by some people on
Yeah.
the subway. I don't know where it happened.
Oh yeah. Oh, so you saw those ones too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Guess
do
you
you
were
mind? Do
around
you mind
for
telling
those
us a little
ones.
bit about it? Is that
Yeah, I literally I think this only started happening after COVID, and like before COVID I felt like really safe in Toronto. I like was in love with Toronto. And I was really determined to like stay here permanently even after like graduating. But like after COVID I feel like a lot of things changed, and there was a lot of like anti-Asian like kind of, you know, hate and stuff and discrimination going on, which like it's not ideal obviously, because majority of the population in Toronto are also Asian. So when that was like becoming really rampant, like I had to be more like aware, or I guess prepared for it to happen to me. But you know, like when you're like, oh yeah, things, you know, happen in life, like whatever. It doesn't hit you until like it actually happens to you, and then you're still shocked because you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I saw this on TV, but then it happened to me. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So the very first time that like I like essentially hate crimed on was back in like 20 it was in 2021, but at the end of it, no, actually during the summer, yeah, it's during the summer, and it was like this one random guy who was just spitting on girls, and he spat on me, and I was like, that is like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
And then I literally ran up to him, and then like I confronted him, I swore at him, I was like filming him, like I literally got a really good picture of his fucking face, and I was like, what the fuck are you spitting at me? Like, what the fuck is your problem, you know? And then he like literally mumbled something, walked away, and like had a smile on his face. It was like so cynical, and I was like,
The audacity.
whew! And then I filed a police report because like it's illegal to spit on someone, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. So I filed a police report for that, and then I posted it on my story, and I came to find out that like literally 6 other Asian girls who don't know each other. These are all like my separate friends. Like they don't know each other, and all of these girls live within the area. They all got spat on by him, the exact same person, because they were like, oh my god, I recognize this guy. He spat on me too, and like said something, and then one of them like actually heard what he said, like something very racially like derogatory. I don't.
Was it
remember.
like COVID blaming stuff, like those like
No
racist stuff
clue.
like
No,
that?
but the serious thing, all of these Asian girls were like, we all were different kind of Asian. So I was like, you know, like
There's
this
like
is.
there's obviously a trend there.
I feel like
Yeah.
obviously it was just like very targeted, and then it happened 2 more times. Well, one last summer, and then one like a couple weeks ago, because that's the one that
The
you
most
saw,
recent
the
one,
most recent one.
right.
Yeah, that one was crazy. That one I feel like it was mostly because he was like a crackhead, but do you know?
Yeah.
But just like, but out of everyone in the streetcar, he only spat on me, and I was like,
It's kind of sus.
kind of sus, like.
Yeah.
And I was not the closest like person in terms of like distance from him, and the fact that he was still able to like reach and spit on me, which is what I didn't expect it. Like I didn't know until I left the streetcar, and then a couple of guys were like, "Oh my god, I hope you're okay," and I was like, "Oh yeah, like I'm fine. Like crackheads are here all the time, you know, whatever." He goes, and they're like, "Yeah, you might want to clean your like jacket after." So I was like, "Oh, did he touch me?" And then they were like, "No, like he spat on you." And I was like, and
So
I
you
didn't even
notice.
I didn't know until I left the streetcar, and I went to work and I saw it. And I was like, "Ah, ew,
That's
ew,
disgusting.
ew." And the whole time I was at work, I was just thinking about how I was gonna wash it when I get home, how I was gonna touch it, how I was gonna, oh my god.
And you know what?
So-
Toronto is known for being a safe haven, but then you hear like this type of stuff, and you're like,
No, I definitely feel like in the past it definitely was. Like I think before COVID it definitely was, because me coming from Malaysia, you know, Malaysia's like crime rates are really high. Obviously being in the global south, like that is like common. So never walked alone in the streets at night, never stepped out of house like alone at night, like never. And then when I came here, I felt really safe to do that. So when winter came around, I was like always going out to like Nathan Phillips Square to like skate and stuff, like at like 2 a.m. when there was like nobody on the ice and I had the whole ice for myself. And if I can go to Nathan Phillips Square at like 2 a.m. alone as a woman, it says a lot about how safe the city is, right? So I used to be able to do that. But then after COVID, like I progressively just stopped doing that because I just felt like really unsafe. And I also felt like it became like, you know, people make all these jokes about how like, oh, Toronto's now like Gotham City, like we need a Batman, like all that kind of stuff, right? And I feel like now it's not just Toronto that has been getting that kind of reputation, but also like Vancouver, like sometimes Montreal.
Even the U.S. and New York City,
Yeah.
like Chicago, like a lot of those cities
Yeah.
are like, I guess, getting more dangerous.
Getting more dangerous,
Yeah,
like everything's
yeah,
just
exactly.
yeah.
You hit down south, it's a whole different scenario over there, and
Yeah.
for literally all minorities as well, not just you know, a particular type. But in general, North America, I guess it's got its highs and lows.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Definitely, this is a
It's
low
a
time.
torn relationship. It's like, I love it here. I really want to love it here, and like, you know, you're giving me reasons not to. So
For
it's
sure.
It's a bit torn love.
One more thing that I kind of like want to talk to you about. I guess like we're in spot 385. You obviously finished your 4 years at UFT.
Yeah.
You're graduating in June.
Yeah, that's
June
right. End of
7 years.
June. Yeah.
So like, how do you feel about that? Like, it's a big step.
Oof. I mean, I definitely didn't really like process it, right? Because I feel like those 4 years like kind of flew by. And to this day, I can still remember like the first day that I arrived in Canada and how I felt when I arrived here. I just felt like, oh my god, this is so surreal. Like, I can't believe I'm in a different country. Like, the roads I'm stepping on is like different from the roads back home. Like, everything is so different. Like,
You went to an international
everything.
school back home, right?
I did, yeah. I went to like a British international school back home. And, you know, even just like, even though I consume a lot of like American media or like, you know, whatever, like everyday life in all over the world is like very much like Western influence, right? Like when I say that, I mean like American influence, right? Coming here was like very different in many ways, right? In like a ton of ways. Like Toronto slang, for example, was like, it took me a long time to get used to. It was the first time people were like, what are you saying? Like, as a way to say what's up. And I was like,
Yeah.
what am I saying? And you know, like, you take it literally. And I was like, and, you know, like, just like small little things. And I was like, oh, this country's so weird. It's like not what I expected. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's just because, like, maybe it's just because I'm, you know, I came from like a British kind of background, like British slang, so it's different. Like, I don't know. Like, that played a part into it. And then I came here and I was like, wow, everything's so different, right? Like, it took me time to get used to. And then now I feel like, wow, I've like really integrated myself into like Canada, into like Toronto. I still feel like very foreign to it because obviously you can't forget your roots. And like if you were born and raised in like under a certain culture for so long and then you move and like it's like super drastic and you have this whole culture shock. I feel like it's hard to like take that away and be like completely integrated. You will always still have a part of like home following you everywhere, right?
So if you were to make an evaluation of Toronto for the past 4 years that you've been here, it's been 4 years, right?
Well, this is the 4th year, yeah.
Would it be a pass
Fourth
or a fail?
I think for me it's been a pass.
It's been a
Yeah.
pass.
I think I've grown so much throughout my degree, and through like living here and stuff, which is why I actually have it tatted on me, like the CN Tower,
I
half
love
of
it.
it, and then I have the Kuala Lumpur Tower, which is from Malaysia,
Love
because
to
they
see
are like
it.
my 2 homes in one, right? Yeah, so no, yeah, and I think that my degree also built me so much into who I am, and not just like me living in a different country, different city. Like it's not just Toronto who like built me, but also U of T in particular. Because I actually came into my degree doing life sci. Like I wanted to become like a cardiac surgeon. I know, and then I grew out of it after the 3rd semester because you know like it was so tough in the first year, and it was like a really humbling experience. And I needed a reality check because I was like, I'm literally in a school where like everyone in my class is just as smart as each other, and somehow everyone here thinks that they are smarter than the rest of the people enough to be able to get into like med school, become a doctor, become a surgeon. You know, it's like
Yeah,
I needed a
was gonna
reality
say,
check.
like, I feel like in high school, like everyone like gets really high marks, and then once you go to
Yeah.
university, it's like not the same. Like you really have to really work
Yeah,
hard.
which is why a lot
to,
of
like,
people have
maintain that.
imposter syndrome when they
Exactly.
and a lot of people actually have imposter syndrome like their entire degree.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad, you know, like it is. So I didn't want to feel like that anymore. And then I have a Spanish minor because, you know, I've been speaking Spanish since like 2012, like for like 10 years basically. So I was like, okay, maybe I can do something with this instead. I really wasn't expecting to like switch into like Hispanic linguistics at all, because growing up I knew like a very profound and distinct like difference between what languages is and what linguistics is.
Yeah.
And I always knew that, oh, I like languages, not linguistics, right? Like I'm not trying to look at notations, count sounds, like analyze morphosyntax. Like I'm trying to learn a new language.
And for those who are watching
love-
this video, they are two different things. We get asked this question all the time.
Really?
Like, oh, you're doing linguistics, so that's languages? No, it's different. It's more like the sounds.
Yeah.
Every word's got its own structure.
Phonetics.
Too complicated
Correct.
to get
Morphosyntax.
into.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess it is a big change, but at the same time, when I hear you talk in class,
Yeah.
to be honest, you sound native. It's like
Thank you.
it's like you're literally from Spain or like any country like Latin America.
I know most people are like, oh, eres muy latina, más latina que yo, and stuff like that. I was
That's
like,
crazy.
so
But-
I really appreciate that the Latin American community has been claiming me so much so far.
And also, you do attend some Hispanic nights, like nightclubs and stuff.
Yeah, I actually frequent a lot of like Latin nightclubs and stuff.
That's
Yeah,
good. That's good.
I don't
And
know.
also,
Like reggaeton was like in me. I really like, yeah, and also like Brazilian funk. So I'm really into like, Latin American.
they're more caliente. They got that fire, that energy. In them, so I love to see it. And
Yeah.
speaking of that, the other day, obviously, like in Toronto, you meet a lot of different kinds of men. Like we're talking regular men, not crackheads. And there was
Oh, right, okay.
there was this one guy that like
Yeah.
I also saw on your story who was
Yes.
dancing on you and somehow caused like what happened? Like your phone broke? Like,
Yeah, no, like literally he was like reaching out to like hold onto my bag for me, I guess just so like there's more room for me to dance. I don't really know. Well, I didn't ask him to do it, right? He did it. And if you're going to offer your own like assistance, do it well and be trustworthy. So that's not what he turned out to be. We met like 4 years ago on a ski trip. That was like funded. Well, that was like with Woodsworth, so it was with the union stuff, right? So we met there, but he didn't even go to U of T. He doesn't even go to U of T. And he was just casually just like hanging out with like a bunch of like U of T people. Like no issue, but it was like
Kind of sus.
it's kind of like
Yeah.
it's kind of weird. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And he was like dating this one girl who was like 4 years, I think 3 years younger, because like I think she was in second year, I was in first year, and he is older than me by like 4-ish years, 3 to 4 years. I'm not too sure. And you know, like there were like a few red flags. I was like, okay, like then how should he me? How should like okay, seems a little sus, whatever. Didn't think too much about it, but then we connected later on, during like the COVID times, like on like a dating app, but I didn't match him because like, oh, I was interested. I was just like, hey, I think I had a girlfriend, you know? And then we started like, he was like, oh no, like we broke up, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I didn't really formally like meet you, I guess. Hi. And then we were bonding because at the time I took an Italian course here, right? And he used to live in Italy. So, you know, he was like, oh, possiamo parlare in italiano, you know, like, I was like, oh, yeah, like, ho bisogno di migliorare mi italiano, sì, per favore. And then we started talking about that. So I was like, okay, you know what, maybe this guy, like, is chill, like, you know, I could see how, like, he would benefit me in my life because like I have someone to speak like in Italian with. but he's also like Latino, like he's Venezuelan, and you know the Spanish is something we can go back to. So you know, like the trajectory of this like connection was always like a little like hot cold, like bad vibes, and then chill vibes, and then you know, and then later on we started partying in the same like fucking like clubs and stuff because he was like a promoter for like a bunch of like Latin like clubs and stuff. And I was like, okay, maybe this guy's like chill, like you know he's a nice guy, cool guy, whatever. And then we progressively became like closer. Like we would go to parties together. I go to his parties because he's a promoter. Like you know things were chill, things were fine. So I was like really not expecting it to go this south. I learned not to have a high expectation, but I was still like, oh wow, like you did me dirty.
Yeah.
Like, okay, eres una rata inmunda y no te mereces nada.
And apparently he protected his case and defended himself.
Yeah, it was it was just handled so poorly because he lost my bag, right? And like maternal instincts, please, survival instincts, please. The bag was literally like facing out of his body because he was dancing on me, okay, without really asking, which is like, you know, I don't really mind it at first because it's like, okay, like in Latin American culture, it's like very common to like be like dancing on each other, like you know, and it can be like super friendly, like super non-sexual, like it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, can I ask for consent, because it's like very ingrained in their culture to like just dance because they don't really see it as a sexual thing most of the time, right? And like me and him were always just chill, like just friends, you know. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, I don't really want you to be like dancing on me, but like, okay, I guess I can like, let it slide. Like I don't mind, whatever. Like we're friends, and you know, Latin American culture, that's fine. But then, like I could tell he was like trying to do something, and I was like, okay, where's this coming from? And then the whole bag situation happened. I guess he was trying to be like a caballero, you know, like a gentleman, like hold my bag. But then it was like literally facing outwards, and then this pickpocketer went around the whole club and like robbed 16 phones at least that night. And I was one of those 16 victims. And yeah, and he literally spent the entire time I was like, I just went into like fight or flight mode. You get what I mean? Like I just like shut off and just, you know, I was like traumatized, and I was like, oh my god, I was in such huge disbelief that this happened. And the entire time he was like, you hate me, like I was supposed to take you out to dinner, like to catch up, and then now I owe you a phone, like you hate me. I was like, that's literally irrelevant right now. I'm literally in such shock and I'm in such a traumatized state that I'm not even thinking whether or not like I like you or hate you. Like that's not what I'm thinking about. I don't even know if I hate you. Why is that the first thing you think about? Like why can't you focus on what's important right now? Let me get my phone back.
Emotionally weak, I guess, huh?
I guess, or like unequipped, and he was like, you know, like, you don't think I care about you and your phone? Like, if I was any other person, I would have walked away already, but instead I'm here helping you out. I'm like, that's bare minimum.
Yeah, literally.
You lost my phone. I didn't ask you to take care of my bag. You took my bag, and now my phone's gone. Girl, and not just my phone, right? Like I had all my important shit in there. I had my debit card in there. I had my Malaysian ID in there. I had my T card. It was a whole like.
Toronto, man. I don't know if this guy is from Toronto, but Toronto is known for being particularly interesting when it comes to men. There's this group chat on Facebook called "Are We Dating the Same Man?" And when I found out about this, and you know, like some girls show me pictures of guys in this group chat, I was like, wait a second, this guy, I think I met him somewhere.
Really?
So it's just like, it's
I
crazy.
I can't
like
even
that,
get
you know
in. Oh my god, that's so funny. I was always so curious about that like spreadsheet, and it's so popular in TikTok, and I was always trying to like get access to it and see what it was.
Anyways,
so
Matt,
funny.
she got asked a question during an interview. I guess like one of those guys that like walk around campus.
Oh
and,
my God.
Like the
questions.
TikTok people?
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Like do a little
basically,
spin or whatever.
yeah, like the question that this person asked, I don't remember if it was a guy or a girl. Basically,
Who's the
like,
guy?
what's the best the best style
Oh, rate
The-
the style of U of T
Yeah.
student.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right, the style. Like, how would you even answer this question?
Yeah, okay, well,
Like-
if I asked you, what would you rate the style of U of T students? What would you say? Like, really quickly, you're just walking and I just shoved a mic
Based
in your
on your
face.
program and what
I
you
just-
study.
Yeah, I would probably say something like, I guess like pretty introverted, like
Okay, so poli sci.
Yeah.
People there in poli sci.
Yeah.
How do you think they
Number,
dress?
on a scale of 1 to 10.
I would like different.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying,
Exactly.
right? That's what thank you.
So basically, like this guy asked her this question, and then I think you defended
and I said
yourself
5
fairly
because I
well.
was like, I literally just said 5 because 5
Yeah.
is neutral, you
It's
know?
kind of
Like,
it's kind of random, like
well, like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, there's like 90,000 people in here,
yeah.
and I have to summarize all these people's wardrobes in one number.
yeah.
Like, and I was like, well, you will definitely have people who are very badly dressed and very well dressed. So, here, 5. Literally just said 5.
Yeah.
And then I just like made a joke and I said like, oh, you know, like from what I can see, like a lot of like engineering and comp sci students, like it's not a lie. Like I have a lot of friends in these programs, and sometimes when I visit them in their classes, like they don't dress, they don't put any effort to dress.
And somehow
Because they're
you
so
have-
busy, they're just studying all the time.
Yeah.
And you've got people who literally don't even go home. They're literally in roll bars. You think they care about style at that point?
Yeah,
Like
just
they
wanna
don't
get
even
their-
have time to
Just
sleep.
want to submit their work at this point.
So understandably so, they're not very well dressed. No problem. I'm not saying that's a problem, and no one should take offense to it. Like
And somehow
There are
everybody took
partly-
offense.
everyone took offense, and I was like, oh well. And there are also some like, you know, very like some people in like women gender studies like dress really well because you know people in that program tend to be more like expressive and stuff, right? And then I didn't mention this, but I was thinking about architecture students as well, but I didn't say it. Didn't come to my mind because I was just literally walking, going about my day, minding my own business, and totally shoved a mic in my face. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And asked me, here, summarize the wardrobe of 90,000 students and basically whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, just said that. And then so many people were so heated and angry in like the comment section.
They
I didn't
took
even.
that super personal.
Yeah, and I was like,
This
if
guy
the
was
shoe
like,
fits.
I don't think she's ever walked
You
into
were.
an engineering classroom at EFT. I'm like, calm down, bro. It's not that serious.
It's not that serious.
I do see like a
It's
lot
not
of
that
people
serious.
though, like walking in the street and they do dress pretty well. A lot of people at this school do dress well.
Yeah, I have seen
Yeah,
a lot of people
a lot
who
of
have.
them, yeah.
That's why I said 5. I was like, you know what? Let's just keep it fair.
Like, people,
5.
people like wearing like a blazer.
Because
like,
realistically,
they look
every,
nice.
every time that people try to make a stereotype about UFT, like UFT is like this, UFT is like that, it fails miserably. There's way too much diverse. Even to say UFT doesn't party, which is something that I hear all the time. and
Yeah,
I don't even,
that's
I don't
what
even
I
know what
hear
that
too,
means.
like-
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means too. Like that's so generalized. Like that's oversimplified.
Yeah, it's you can't like make stereotypes about a school that's got 90,000 students.
Exactly.
And
It's
obviously,
so
like in a
hard
city like
to-
Toronto, downtown Toronto is so big. On a Saturday and Friday night, people are gonna go to different places. We talked about it in the past.
Yeah.
You don't have it. You're not in like London, Ontario, where there's just one bar or 2 bars, and you go
Yeah,
there. You know,
that's
everyone's
like
gonna be
unique.
there.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
That's
you know?
right, yeah. Like, how would you be able to even say it and like oversimplify and generalize that?
That just goes to say, stop making stereotypes. Like, come on, guys, do better. Anyways, we're at 30 minutes right now. Thank you for coming today.
No problem.
You provided us with some very interesting insights about campus life in Toronto in general.
Oh, that video! I just went out of my fucking memory.
I love it.
Oh.
Anyways, I will see you next week. Thank you for watching, guys.
Nice.
Thank
This is
you.
the Dot's Point. I don't
I
know
like
last
you
you.
and Matt.